Welcome in, Dr. McKnight. How are you today?
I'm beautiful. How are you, Brad?
You didn't have the traffic issues, which is good. I'm good.
I never do. I live pretty close.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
So welcome in, and we'll talk about today something that you've been preparing for and now presenting, which is your Fit for Life, right?
Yeah, it's Fit for Life. We're week 2 in our virtual class, and last week was, I thought, very successful. It was the first time we tried something like that. But our topic this week is mindfulness, and as Dr. J is texting us saying he's stuck in traffic and can't get here, I'm thinking, 10 minutes ago, what can we talk about? And mindfulness is something that I think probably all of us need to be aware of, need to be thinking about. And that really is our lecture tonight, our topic tonight. And the idea is just being aware of our thoughts, emotions, relationships, and our behaviors and how they all intermingle together, and especially those thoughts and emotions that really drive some of our behaviors either towards wellness or away from it. And a lot of people don't realize that. Sometimes, most of us are pretty good about being hard on ourselves. We look at ourselves, we say we're overweight, we're not healthy, we're not fit, and we just degrade. But really the question is, how can I change this? How can I heal? And to get in that trajectory, you have to kind of think, well, how did I get here? And what kind of choices can I make to improve and to change the trajectory of our life or my life? So that's really what we're going to talk about tonight. And it's really interesting because people just are not, they're aware on the surface of what drives their behavior, but when you dig down deep, there's many layers. And understanding that maybe eating foods that we shouldn't be eating is not just a superficial emotion, that it's pretty deep down. And, one thing I've learned about myself and about others is we use food to help us change how we feel. And or we can use anything. We can use alcohol, we can use drugs, we can use just about any substance you can imagine to change how we feel. If we don't feel quite right, there's a reward there with these chemicals, and food is a chemical. And some of us look at food as, especially in the evening, we've had a hard day and we sit down on the couch, we just want to relax, we don't want to be bothered, and food is going to help us feel better, And so we have dinner and then we're snacking after dinner. And it does give us the relief, but it really doesn't nourish us.
Right.
And I think the challenge is looking at food as not something that comforts us, but something that's there to nourish us and to make our bodies strong. It's like putting high-octane fuel into a top-notch car. You don't want to put the bad stuff in. Same with our bodies. But just being aware of that. And I tell the class, I'll probably mention this tonight, that if you're trying to change behavior, you're trying to heal, but you're going through just a tumultuous time in your life, you're caring for an elderly parent with dementia, or you're going through a divorce, or you've got a wayward child that's really making you lose sleep overnight, there's only so much energy you can put into changing your behavior. And maybe this isn't the right time to do that, because it really requires a lot of focus and a lot of mindfulness and being aware of what's going on in your life. But the other important point I make is that, like I said, many of us are hard on ourselves, and sometimes forgiveness is just part of the healing process. And often that person we have to forgive is ourselves, and just accept that we're human, we're going to have bad days. COVID has not been the best to me. I'm not going to say COVID. I'm going to say the pandemic and the restrictions and recent surgery and all these other things hasn't been good to me. So I'm kind of going through this same process. How do I get myself back on track? How do I write a different story and start using different self-talk to get me back to where I need to be?
You think that in itself, being able to make the mindful change, the mental attitude, is the beginning of the healing or improving even before you have physical results?
Absolutely. In fact, that's why that's in week 2 of our class. When people
I didn't mean to jump ahead, sorry.
No, but when people sign up for Fit for Life, many of them are to the point that they are ready to change. You tell me on the first night what I need to do differently, what I need to eat and how I need to exercise, what I need to change, and I'm changing it. And we don't really get into that right off, because until we understand what drives our emotions and drives our behaviors, it's very superficial, and you will only do it as long as there's motivation there from some external source. We really want people to get in tune with what drives them and what understand their emotions, understand the impact of relationships. I see a lot of people who do very well, but they're in a very difficult relationship. Maybe it's a spouse or a boss at work that makes life just difficult. And when you're dealing with a lot of negativity and you're trying to change that behavior into something positive, there's only two ways that I know you can deal with that, because you have to get rid of that negativity. So you either walk away from that person who's bringing that negativity into your life, or you deal with that person. But the only way to deal with a lot of negativity is with more positivity. Mm-hmm. So all the other people, all the other things that you do with your time outside of those interactions with that person bringing you down has to be positive, because there's no way that you can overcome it if it's all negative. And one of the things I have mentioned also is that when you look in the mirror, no matter who you are, you have to use these invisible lenses, and you have to sort of peel back the skin, take the skin off, take the layers of fat off, and what do all of us see? We see a trim, fit, muscular athlete, and that's the message. Some people just have a hard time doing that. They just can't get past that. But if you can do that and start to believe that, hey, that's who you are, and you're just going to start chiseling away one step at a time, changing your thoughts, changing that emotional state, it will impact your behaviors. It'll change the people around you. And, we've seen people in the class just lose a lot of weight, and their life turns around, and they become this great advocate, this cheerleader, this coach for other people. They're an inspiration, and it's so fun to see that. Mm-hmm. But that's not an external change. That's internal.
Right.
That's realizing, gosh, I never thought I could do what I'm doing now at my age. And now I'm doing it, and I'm going to do even more. I'm going to get even better, but I'm also going to be an advocate and an inspiration to other people. And then they almost find another calling in life. So it's a really fun transformation for people to go through, and for me to witness as the instructor.
A lot of what you're talking about, you could term as stress management, I guess. Are there any quick tips to get started on that road? Because I assume everybody would be a little different.
Yeah, well, and that's what we're going to talk about this week is, first of all, becoming aware. Okay, how did I get to the point that I'm at? What kind of things have I been telling myself? What kind of emotions have I been feeling that's put me in this state of dis-ease, or maybe just not optimal health? So today, this week is the awareness of that. Next week is, how do I start changing my chemistry? How do I start changing the nerve connections in my brain that give me this automatic response that as soon as this person says this, I go to this negative place, and then I go to a plate of brownies or ice cream. So next week we're going to talk about how to make those changes. But I'll tell you, the way you change behavior is through practice, right? I mean, anything you learn takes practice. And hopefully nobody in the class is listening to this broadcast, but a simple way to do this. I'm sorry, I didn't mean it that way. But a simple way to do that is to sign your name with your dominant hand, right? That's easy to do, subconscious. Now take your non-dominant hand and sign your name. And we'll do this tonight, I think. And when they do that, it's fun to watch their response, because they're making faces, they're focused, they're concentrating, and then they're starting to laugh at themselves. There's this self-critical self-talk. And it's funny to watch what they do with the pen or the pencil when they've signed their name with their non-dominant hand. It's like, they throw that pen down, like, get that away from me. And so you can see all this negative self-talk. But my question to them is, well, how long would it take for you to be able to do that with your non-dominant hand and not be critical of yourself and not have this negative self-talk and this negative judgment? Well, it depends on how many times you practice it. But if you practice it 100 times, 1,000 times, you're going to start to accept and be okay with what that looks like. And that's the same with any of us trying to change behavior. It's really hard at first. It feels awkward. It feels uncomfortable. We don't like it. But the more we do it, the easier it gets. And that's just not forming habit. It's actually changing nerve connections in your brain to make that automatic. You learn to walk, you learn to ride a bike. It wasn't positive mental attitude. It was neurons reconnecting and being wired a certain way. So we're trying to break these connections that are bad for us and reestablish these good connections that make it automatic. And then we'll become the person that says, gosh, I can have some ice cream here, or I can have a bowl of strawberries. I'm doing strawberries. Because I know that's what I want, that's what I need, that's what I crave, and that's the choice I'm going to make. So it's not an automatic boom. I'm eating something I shouldn't.
Virtual class is going well then?
Yeah, I think so. We've had good feedback on the class, and we didn't have any technological challenges. So I think it went well. We're looking forward to tonight.
Well, that's what we want to hear.
And I hope everybody listens to your show, Brad.
Thank you. I don't think you chase anybody away. That's Dr. Tim McKnight talking this morning on Talk with the Doc on our 830 High Beam, brought to you by Mako's and Twin City Chiropractic.